this trip was so far for us. When I looked at it on Google Maps, it said that it was going to be about 6.5 hours. Well, it doesn't factor in the fact that I've got 6,500 pounds behind me, and it take a little longer. So that was going to be closer to 7 hours, and that was a little more than I feel comfortable pulling. I mean, I could do it, but I'd be exhausted at the end of the day. So I figured, let's just break this thing up. We looked at the different state parks that were in the area, and there was a state park with camping that was almost halfway. The cliffs of the Neuse River.
It was a neat state park. They did a really nice job.
It was a small state park. There are two types of sites there. There was the site that we stayed in that had full hookups, 30 and 50 amp, and then they had those that had no hookups. They just had a pole to hang your thing on and a fire pit, and that was it. We walk out of our site 30 at the cliffs of Neuse State Park. This is one with full hookups. I kind of look back here. It's got 30 amp and 50 amp water and sewer, gravel, amazingly level. Side to side, I did not need any leveling. It's got this nice big expansive like public space over here. Fire pit. The picnic table is a composite wood. You see the fire pit, they actually have like fire brick underneath it. Really, and plenty of space. There's the bathhouse in the distance with a nice clear trail to get to it. Kind of see the space on this side. Neighbors over here on this side. So, and there is trash right there. So, nice site. And this is one of the non-hookup sites, what we in South Carolina would call primitive, because it's no water, no electricity. There's a picnic table, you see the hook and the fire pit, place to park your car, and then kind of flat area to set up a tent. So make
not
sure
even water.
Yeah, they didn't have water.
But they had community water.
Yeah. So make sure you pay attention when you reserve your spot there.
And those generally were smaller, but not all of them were. So don't just glance at the sizing and be like, oh, that one size-wise would work, because you might not have water.
Right. That one had a spectacular bathhouse. Probably one of the nicest bathhouses I've ever seen. Family living down there. Right here. Let's check. There's nobody in here. Nice, very clean. Pretty impressive. They also had a really neat nature center type of place, and a nice little walk out to the cliffs along the edge of the Neuse River, where you can see that it was about 90 feet up, and then you can kind of see where the river had eroded the history, and it was kind of neat.
And there was some really neat history in the nature center, ranger station, all that. There was history about the cliffs, how erosion works, how streams work, and nature. And then there was a whole section on the Indians that lived there, the settlers, a whole bunch of stuff about
the Civil War, the Neuse River, and
it was. So I mean, there was really cool. Even they had, and this is something you don't see very often, and I thought it was really neat. They had these recorded stories about people. Like there was a recorded story of a lifeguard who had been a lifeguard there for 7 or 8 years in the 50s, and they legit had recorded his story, and there was telephones you could pick up, and when you picked it up, it told you about his story. He told his story, about being a lifeguard there and what it was like and how many people would come down. They had a huge swimming area. I mean, that was like a big bathing pavilion and a big grass lawn, and it even had the platform out there that was still looked operational to us. Like, it was fresh, and I mean, sometimes you see those bathing platforms that are still out there, but obviously nobody's using them. But this was still in operation, diving board and stuff. It was well done.
KOA we stayed at was, I would say it's a typical KOA. It had a lot of the features. It has the laundromat and the arcade, has a swimming pool. One thing of note, it says it's a year-round swimming pool. That means it does not close. It does not mean that it is heated. They have a hot tub. It was not operational while we were there.
It looked like they were doing some work on it. There was a little cafe. Nice big store, of course. This one was a little more eclectic. Like, we've been to one where, like, they had the campsites and then they had the really small little cabins. But this also had some bigger condo-y looking. I
think they called them deluxe cabins.
But they were up, so there was parking underneath.
Right.
And bigger, obviously, and decking. They also had some glamping tents. They had these giant looking things. They had some other smaller, like, not up but bigger cabins. They had nice bathrooms.
Yeah, and I'll kind of show you while we're in some of the different types of sites, because it's important to understand there's probably 4 different types of sites there. So you want to pay attention when you're making that reservation, because each one costs a little bit different. Then on the way home, we stopped off again about halfway along the Neuse River again, this time at the Neuseway Nature Center in the town of Kinston, not too far from the state park that we stayed at.
And the biggest reason we did that is the state park asked on weekends you had to have a 2-night rental. So we could have just gone back to the state park, but we went on Monday the first night, and Saturday, so we weren't able to just stay at the state park again. So just to give you...
So it was only $20, but you could not make reservations. So we were a little nervous as to whether they would have a spot for us. They did. It had 30 amp, 50 amp, and full hookups. However, I'm going to cut in here and show the video of kind of me walking around and show you the electrical concern that we wound up having. At the Neuseway Nature Center Campgrounds, City Park. This is our site. We're at site 19. Kind of wide back here, but I don't know how well you can see. There's water, sewer, 30 and 50, but there's an issue with that. This is the camp host next to us, who we pay $20 a day. You can see the neighbor over here to this side. Come back around, and this picnic table is, I've seen better days, and obviously the fire pit hasn't been used in quite a while. Now, our camper is a 30 amp, so I didn't really need the 50 amp. Come back here and show one, the pipes, the conduit's busted. And then, see, I'm on a dog bone because I don't feel comfortable hooking up to that.
A really nice big playground. There was a nature center there. There was even a planetarium there, and a kids museum, science museum.
I would say that park, though, is a little lacking in maintenance.
Yeah, what I would say is, you know, when you think about, hey, I wish my community would build X, Y, Z, or we really need to put in, and we've said this before, we have these big ball fields that are really nice out at the edge of town, and we're like, gosh, they should put in camper sites.
Yeah.
And, you know, while that's great, when you think about what your community builds, you have to also think about how those things are going to be maintained forward, and not just the cost to build them today. Because there's a lot of like, hey, we built this really nice nature center and nobody's really been able to take care of it that well since then. Or
the display, the animals looked fine, but some of the stuff was a little dusty. There was in the Science Center, there was some stuff that could use a coat of paint and a good cleaning. And then as we kind of walk around and show around the campground, things like park benches that aren't there. You can tell they were meant to be there, but they're not. Or
like there was a park bench that looked like it would be great sitting out over the river, but the river literally like sloped down away in front of it. So like that bench probably should have been moved.
Right. Or the little pier to go launch your kayak that has fallen down into the water that you can't get to because it's in the water.
And just even I would say that bathroom situation there.
Yes.
Fortunately, those are mostly full hookup, but they have converted
our bumpy road.
the bathrooms that literally go with like the park, the only exterior bathroom. So if you were there on a weekend, they converted the exterior bathrooms for the playground into locked camper bathrooms.
Right.
So it's not close like to the campground. It's really close to the whole park.
Yeah, it's
nature center section.
It's behind the nature center. So
yeah, and it's and I'll be honest, it's not a place I would feel comfortable as a woman taking my kids up. And we do that a lot. Like we put the kids in the car or walk over to wherever the bathhouses are. I shower them up while he's cooking dinner or while he's cleaning up from dinner or whatever, and bring them back. I wouldn't have done that.
No.
Because it's closer to the road where the park is public versus the campground that's more private. Not that people can't just drive onto a campground, but you have that illusion of like these are camper people who are all on the same page.
Yeah.
And then if you were just a resident on a Sunday afternoon, because the nature center's closed, planetarium, science center's closed, there's nowhere for you to take your kids to the bathroom.
Yeah, that's an issue.
So I will say everybody that we talked to about is this going to be available, the host that's been there forever, it was super nice and super very quick to help, to get you settled, to take care of any questions you had.
I would suspect that there are three types of people that predominantly stay in that campground. The first are working people that are just working in that area temporarily, looking for an inexpensive place to park their camper and get a night's sleep. Two, I think there were several people that were snowbirders from up north that had come down to the south for the summer, for the winter.
And it's a fairly inexpensive, and it's not a bad campground. It's full hookup.
They were able to back in get back up to the river, so it could be like a base camp. If they wanted to go spend a couple days, going somewhere else, they could. And then the third is just some kind of like us, people traveling through, just needing a place for the night, looking for an inexpensive stop. That's kind of my feeling on it. We probably won't go back.
No, and I think the website oversold.
Yeah.
Oversold it.
Yeah, but so that's where we stayed. Those were the places. Comment below if you've been to those places and share what your experiences would be, or if there's somewhere nearby that we need to catch next time on the way, let us know. So thanks for watching.